Man, looking back at that intro, it's like the future.
Joe, when you made that,
there were no indictments. There wasn't really like the whole American water thing wasn't really even really in.
Yeah, we just knew that's where the mayor worked. It was just
all this stuff, and it's like I'm like Joe Stradamus.
Joe Stradamus. Yes. There we go.
Yes. If you want to find out the future, also subscribe to this podcast.
Iris Knight.
That's not.
My question is.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, look, we're not too good with buttons here, but subscribe to the podcast.
That was horrendous.
We are GTobserver.com. If you are following us for the first time, because we're Philadelphia Inquirer famous now.
Oh yeah.
And you've come here for some sewer information. GTobserver.com/sewer for that latest information. We'll talk about that later on in the podcast.
Yep.
But if your friends don't know about this whole process with the sewer or anything that's going on in the township, share us out. Share our YouTube page, share our Facebook page, share our website. Anything you can, and let everybody know so they can make a informed decision on what's going on here with anything in the township. Really,
yeah.
They'll show you the positives. We'll show you
the truth.
The truth. Yeah. I was gonna say the negatives. And I was gonna stop myself and say no, just the truth.
Right.
But
the truth, unfortunately, is negatives, and because they don't want it to be heard, they'll call it like misinformation. But if you do your research, you'll find out it's not. It's just the truth.
Yeah. So today we're gonna summarize October 16th. Before we get into the October 16th council meeting, you were at the workshop meeting. So
there was a workshop meeting. They don't typically record those visually like on YouTube. So I'll just give you a quick rundown of it. There was our CFO was there. They were doing the state has like a checklist of things a questionnaire that they need you to fill out. So they were kind of going over some of those things, and some of they kind of ask you, okay, if you answer no last year on this item, you should answer yes this year. It's like things that they want you to do in order to continue to get additional like funding, like state aid. One of those things was a publicly accessible EV charging station. So it's very important that we pay for people's charging of their cars.
Do they pay when they go to that station, or is it just free?
I don't know that part. They didn't really get into those details of it. They just said it's not publicly accessible. They're like, well, we have 4 of these, but they're in the area where employees park, so it's not accessible to the public, which I kind of found a little odd, but either way, I think it's like their Volt cars or whatever they are. They do have some sort of EV type of car. So I think it's like those charging stations, but they can't answer yes to that question because the public's not allowed to use those. And I don't know if it's because they would need to pay or something like you brought up. Either way, so that was one of the things. Business administrator said that he has a questionnaire of his own he's going to send to the state. Just kind of want to see what the heck that says, but Taylor Ave Park is supposedly getting a grant for 100% funding to redo the playground area. Timing was somewhat of a question between council members if it was going to interfere with baseball season, but it doesn't seem like it will. And then there was a police grant that had something to do with shields for schools, like so SROs, the school resource officers. Those guys were able to be equipped with shields for $64,000 grant, which is like they always consider like free money to us. But in order to get that free money, we needed to spend $25,000. So that one there kind of raised the question with me, saying, all the time we get these, hey, can we apply for this grant? So they're asking for a vote if they should get a grant. A grant is supposedly free money, but we know that the government doesn't have money. It's our money. It's taxpayer money. It just might not all be 100% from Gloucester Township. It's from throughout different municipalities in the state. Our money is also going to the state, which is going to other people getting other free things. Where So when you think about that, we're kind of not forced. We're viewing something of getting $64,000 for free, but we're forced to spend $25,000. And I look at that, Joe, as like why, if we needed that, if we're not safe without those shields, we should buy those shields, not because we have a grant. You know what I mean? Like it's
this reminds me of like when I'm laying in bed at night, I look for like slick deals, right? And I look for like these really great deals, and I'm like, I don't need this, but it is a great price. It's kind of one of those things. Like if we need shields, and we applied for a grant, and the grant came back and said, look, if you put up 25 grand, we'll give you 64 grand. That's fantastic. Good work on anybody that looked that applied for that. But if it just came down through like a memo and said, hey, if anybody that wants some shields, if you spend $25,000, we'll give you $65,000, and we're like, our shields are kind of scratched up. No, that's not a good deal. Like that's
right,
not
100%. That's my point. There's almost a forced spending, and if you understand how these grants are written, so when you write a grant is you have to apply for it. So when you're applying, they're calling writing a grant. We don't internally have public employees that we're already paying to do the job to do this. We hire an outside firm called Triad who goes and writes grants for us. They're out there writing these grants, and we have to approve them, spending this money. They get paid based off of the amount of grants that we accept. Like, so if we got a grant for $64,000, they might, I don't know the exact percentage, so I'm not going to pretend to know. I think it's like somewhere between 10 and 20% of whatever the grant is that they get, they get paid that money. So they could, if we go and spend $25,000, we also could just say it's 10% for the sake of argument in this case. They get paid $6,400 to write that grant. So $6,400 plus the 25. So we spend $30,000 to get $64,000 of items we didn't need. Again, remember this is $65 million in debt.
Items we didn't need unless we actually needed them.
Right. But, yeah. So if we needed them, we should buy them. That's my opinion. Like
if we need shields to protect officers, because there's been situations where we're like, man, we really need shields. Buy shields.
Right. That's not what we're saying. But it also is a good point in time, because we haven't started getting into the recap of the meeting yet. But I wanted to kind of go. Can you give me the cord for the HDMI on this side here? I want to kind of go over something called NJELEC. So everyone in town is kind of familiar with New Jersey American Water at this point in time, where they're spending lots of money, papering our town with flyers and ads and whatnot. And you're like, how much money did they spend? Well, they've spent almost $1 million in funding.
It's crazy too, because if you would have asked me, I wonder how much you think they've spent, I would have said like, I don't know, like 30 grand, right?
No, more than I would say way more than that. They had commercials on Eagles games. They have anything you go on YouTube, they're on there. They have Facebook. There's games, everything.
I did not expect this amount though, man.
They've got door knockers out there every single day. Either way, so all of that is I don't want to say control. I guess it's controlled or monitored, I guess you could say is a good word.
Yeah.
By like New Jersey Election Commission. So the Election Commission has a website that if you were to go on to, it's called New Jersey ELEC, ELEC. So if you were to go Google, you could find it, and you went to, NJELEC, and, this will bring up New Jersey Election Law Enforcement, and you go to their website here. So on their website, there's all sorts of menu topics here, right? So one of the terms you guys always hear us say and hear people say is pay to play. It's not a term we made up. This is literally, this is what it is. File for the, if you're a pay to play vendor, you're supposed to file this. So this is a good website for anybody to go to and just poke around and play around with it. Like, there's a lot of information that you can find on here and put some pieces of puzzles together. For instance, if we go to candidate, and committees, that's where we would find some, filings that they've had here. So I had some already pulled up here. If you were to go to search, search candidates here. So this is something where you can go to filings. You'd find candidates and committees. It asks you like where you're looking, so you can go in there and pull up Gloucester Township specifically. So this one here we did for this, for this election year, for the general election, and we had Helen Albright Troxel, New Jersey American Water, Tim Pfeffer, and Save the GTMUA. So these are what's running on the general election, for this year here. Let me see which I have already pulled up here. So this was for New Jersey American Waters that I had downloaded. So this one here is for the New Jersey American Water in the general election, and it comes down here to they spent $925,000 as of, this is October 7th, or what date did they put here? October 5th. So this is as of October 5th. That's what they spent. But one of the important parts to bring up.
That was November 5th for the election. That was
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that date was. I think it was as of.
Oh, election day.
Yeah, that's election day. But I think the
report
here we go.
Up top. NJELEC
October 4th. Yeah.
October 4th. Yeah. My bad. I apologize. Yeah. But yeah, so there's other. You have other candidates here. Helen Albright Troxel. So she's a machine. Loyalist here. So the date she's filed this report. If we were to pull this up, Helen Albright Troxel.
Expenditure. So this is her.
She spent $53,000. Receipts, expenditures. Yeah.
So she got $53,000. She spent $30,000.
She's received $53,000. So let's see, where did this money come from? Let's just take a look and see. This is her bank
associated with it.
Name. Archer Grenner. $4,500.
Yep, they're the accountants for the township.
Association of former Gloucester Township Democratic mayors. $11,000.
Mayor gets tons of donations from them.
Right. So so you can even go in this, if you go onto this website, you can find who donated to this Democratic mayor's thing, and you'll more than likely you'll find Triad and T&M Associates here, Bach Associates. So Bach Associates gave her $3,000. Let's see, Frank Bill. I don't know who that is. Animal Bach Contracting
are engineers.
All right, so animal contracting. Frank, this is going to come up maybe later on in another topic here.
Bialois. Frank Bialois. That sounds familiar.
Panoni, everyone knows that. So these are the who's who. Yeah. Remington and Vernick engineers.
Oh God!
You see these names constantly out there. On Chairman's Club. This is another one. That's the Democrat PAC in Gloucester Township. $16,400 dollars. 1585 Hyder Lane. That's right over next to Senior Center, right? Yep. So, but anyway, so these different, you can go on this website and poke around on here. There's a ton of information that you can kind of uncover and see for yourself. We're not making this up. So this woman for a 1-year term has raised $53,000 from people like Bach and Associates. What does Bach and Associates, why donate to Helen Albright Troxel for $3,000?
Yeah. And you look at somebody that's not connected to anything. Tim Pfeffer, who's running against her.
Let's look at Tim's. Can we pull Tim's up here?
Yeah.
Go ahead, talk about Tim's while we. Yeah.
So I think we kind of scrolled through Tim's before, and I think Tim spent about $1,500 on signs. I think we figured out. And I think he did. I think he did some mailings, and he did some Vistaprint stuff. So it was like.
Yeah, so here we go. Here, $532 on this one, and he had actually 2 different filings. I guess an amendment here. See the date received 10/7 and 10/7, and then he pulled the second one. $1,100 is his
For signs.
So yeah. He had, I guess he can't amend it. He had to submit a whole nother one. But yeah, so he was just putting his expenditures. He doesn't have any donations, to his campaign. So he's running it himself versus Albright Troxel getting $53,000 from pay-to-play vendors, and it's kind of telling of who's for who.
Yeah, when you look at, I think Tim may have gotten some money from one of the local PACs that did a couple local fundraisers to raise some money for him, maybe $3,000.
Yeah.
But $3,000, and that was taking into consideration. Helen got $53,000, right? We just looked at $53,000 there.
Yeah.
Now my campaign last year was a lot of work involved, about $30,000, and I'm talking like months of going out and talking to people and getting money, getting little donations here, little donations there, and then finding some companies that were involved that didn't really even have a stake in GT. They just believed in what we were doing. $30,000. Helen, she's not out there raising money, right?
Oh, that was 4 of you, right? That was
4 of us. Tim was one of those. That was 4 of us trying to find ways to get money. This is just
here you go. Write a check.
Anybody you put on the list on that side for the machine, $53,000.
Yeah, I mean, like the Bach and Associates one.
It's a 1-year term too, by the way.
Oh yeah, this is 1 year. Yeah, this isn't a 4-year term. This election
that Helen and Tim are up against each other for, this is for 1 year. This is finishing off Dan Hutchison's term because he moved on to Assembly.
Yeah,
where he gets to lie to more people. But this is a 1-year term. So it's
worth it for Bach and Associates. So Helen is the liaison between the planning board. And if you've ever been to a planning board meeting, you'll find Bach at those planning board meetings. So it's kind of important that he has somebody on his side, in there.
So she's there too.
She's at the planning board meetings. Yes, every planning board meeting. But yeah, anyway, so. I kind of went way off topic and not in our recapping thing here, so we can get back into that. I just thought it was a good time to bring that whole thing up, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Hope I didn't bore you, but I think you should go there. Go Google NJELEC, ELEC. Poke around on the website. You'll be amazed at what you find out there, and you'll be shocked at some of the amounts of money that these campaigns run. Go to the school board ones. Mind you, a school board position is a non-paid position. And go look this year here. So who's running for school boards, and find out. And who's running unopposed, how much money they've raised. Like literally you could do nothing. You could just go sit on your couch, put a wife beater on, and just eat nachos and
the mac
cheese all over you, and do nothing, and you'll still win. Go look at. I'm gonna put down the comments down below how much you found out that some of these people raised, right, for a non-paid school board running unopposed election. Put it in the comments on there. You'd be surprised. There's so much
money involved in these little municipal races. Yeah. Here, it's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Right.
So anyway, let's get into the meeting, Joe. We're gonna recap the what was it, August 26th meeting? Let's go. October. October.
Yeah, you're back. You're back when it was warmer out.
July 3rd. All right. Brian Burns, he was first up with the agenda items here. He wanted to know about zoning on a site that was formerly or is currently ecological.
I messed up this clip, so there's no audio on this, but I'm going to tell you what's going on here. So Brian is basically the map's going to show up here. So if you're familiar with Sicklerville Road, there's the Wawa there, there's Hickstown Road, there's that big storage facility. In between there, in the red area, there's 2 lots there, and that is an ecological zone. And you'll see there's a little stream going through there that Brian's talking about. The water was tested. It's like pristine water over there. And basically they want to change that from the ecological zone over to highway
commercial. Yeah.
And Brian is saying, look, I really wish you would reconsider this because of
the natural resources that are there.
I think it's a flood zone too. But yeah, really good resources, really good green space. And, it's a big topic. It's a topic that started, I think that topic really kind of hit when the warehouses started coming up. That we were every big field that we were trying to put a warehouse or something in every big field. So a lot of people got involved in that. Brian has been an advocate for green and open space for a really long time. And if you're as passionate as he is, Brian could probably use some help too. So he was speaking on that. That particular spot of land, there's going to be a public hearing before they change the zoning to commercial. Coming up, we don't know if it's going to be the next meeting.
Yeah, this is why you got to check the agendas and see when it's going to be on there. I don't know timing wise if it's already gone to the planning board or the zoning board, I should say. I'm not 100% sure about that, but this is why you need to pay attention. There are so many things in this town that we need to pay attention to, and it can't just be us looking at different things. And when I say us, it's not just Joe and I sitting here. It's all the people that know who they are, that are also helping look at all these agendas. But it's a lot going on, and if it's not everyone keeping an eye out, this is where you get people on Facebook like, hey, did anybody notice across from whatever Ann Mullen School they just bulldozed an entire all this field? Yeah, that was 2 years ago. You missed. We missed out on that.
We covered that one too.
Yeah, we covered that. It's all. Everything happens in stages here, and you need to be involved.
You who has the better job than we do is Mark from 42 Freeway. He gets to talk about all the stuff after it's built.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
He gets to talk about, and he goes, he gets to sample all the products and stuff if there's a good restaurant. We talk about it 2 years before, right? When they're building it and they're throwing like
glamour boy over there out there,
when they're throwing deer out of their habitat. That's when we start talking about it. That's
we see you, Mark. We see you out there having fun. We're over here in the trenches. So speaking of trenches, the deer, if you're taking away their homes, where do they go? They end up out in the open more.
They wind
and
up on the
getting
hood of
hit
your car is where they wind up.
Yeah. We had a clip about this one here.
So is there a special phone number or something to call for that service once again?
You would contact the police department.
And if I did that and they did not remove the deer carcass?
We'll call them again.
Yes, there's a certain period of time for them to remove that deer.
It's not immediate.
And I believe
It was more than a week and it was already down to bones. I mean.
bones in a week. Okay.
Well,
And this
no,
was
I
last-
didn't
this was-
see it.
This was last winter?
That's correct.
Last winter, okay.
I didn't realize that it was a service that the township actually paid for. I thought that they were doing like type of courtesy by listening to my
Now, hold on.
concern.
Mr. Cardis?
We put a white flag out by the deer, correct, chief? That signifies that has been called in. And deer carcass removal is out of Cream Ridge, New Jersey. They have 48 hours under the contract to respond. That is a contract that is throughout the county as a shared service. All municipalities participate.
Well, then why is it specified for Gloucester Township, New Jersey as a service that we're paying for specifically?
If you're gonna pay out of a shared service, you're gonna pay for your costs.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Beetlejuice had a lot of information on the deer removal process. When he normally doesn't have any information at all.
Joe, if you asked him like something that he should have probably been working on today, like from a number standpoint or something,
know.
I'd have to get back to you on that. He automatically jumped right out with, they're out of Cranford, New Jersey.
Yeah,
they have
Cream Ridge,
48
New Jersey.
hours. White flag. White flag means it was called in. If they're not surrendering, that means they called it in.
Yeah, I've never seen a deer with a white flag.
Yeah, they don't. On a cartoon, I think one time I saw them surrendering with a white flag. But
I've seen them on the side of the road with "Get Well Soon"
Yeah.
balloons tied to them before, but never a white flag.
Yeah,
And
but he knew every detail of that contract.
it was crazy, and he didn't know it was coming up, and he just knew it all.
I would imagine
Also?
he would have told one of somebody else, other people. He would have told, if you'd email me, I'd know those details. Instead, he knew the town they were in, the amount of time they have. You name it about that contract, he knows it inside and out. Deer carcass just randomly pops up.
Also,
He knows it.
the chief has had it with Smitheman.
Oh yeah, he's.
His answers were
He goes. It's not immediate. You call it in.
finished with her. She's like, "What happens when I call and they don't do anything? Call again." He's had it with her. I'm on his side. I've had it with her too.
Oh, that poor lady.
All right, next up, David Leader asks again for the Lectern.
So if you guys are fans of this podcast and you listen along, you would have heard this is not the first time David's asked for a lectern, and he's not wrong. Joe had went through and pulled images of all other towns around here, right?
Yeah,
that have a lectern so that people can put their notes down. There's a little bit of space. You feel like there's kind of separation between you and the council. You feel a little protected. When your tyrant is up there screaming at you, this, that, like you feel you have a little buffer zone, right? We owned one. It was, if you look in the images on the left-hand side of the screen, there was always a lectern just sitting right there. We weren't allowed to use it. So David at one point had brought it up. I think he brought it up.
Last meeting.
Well, that was like, I think the second time. This might be the third time that he's brought up
but it was
lectern.
there like 2 weeks ago.
No,
Like,
exactly.
sitting there.
Yeah.
2 weeks
It was
ago.
there. We don't know what happened to it. I have a theory. You might see the theory at the end of this clip here, but this is David asking.
I'd really like to have a lectern here.
You can take a
Make
seat
myself
there,
more comfortable.
Mr. Leader. You can
standing
take
in
a
front
seat
of you.
there if you like. I offered that to you at the workshop.
Pump right fake and then a left 360. We got the pump right 360 to the left and it's in there. Good job.
That was Orlando was caught out in the parking lot throwing a lectern in the dumpster.
It's gone apparently, folks. It's not there. But I didn't know that if I wanted to walk up there, grab the mic, have a seat, I could do that now. But
yeah, that's true. That
you
would be
mentioned
good.
that you have a lectern.
I do have a lectern. I'm gonna get, and we should bring it.
Yes, we should bring it.
There's nothing stop. Like, can you not bring a lectern? I don't remember reading that in the rules that you can't bring your
Is
own
it
lectern.
wood?
Yeah,
It'll get through the metal detectors.
that's true. Yep.
So we bring the lectern. Anybody that wants to use it, they point to us and we walk it up and we put it down for them.
Yeah.
They use the lectern.
Hey, lectern boys, can you come over
Yes.
here?
We'll bring it there.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? The other lectern is our lectern. It's the people's. The people own that. So I want to know where it went.
Yeah.
We should get an answer to that. But in the meantime, we will bring our own lectern. How about that? We got you, Dave. Don't worry.
Yeah.
David asked a question here of what's the difference between, you'd brought up a term before, and guess what happens? He gets gaslit. Said that never happened. So we pulled a clip of the exact phrase that he's questioning being used later on.
Tell me, is a sidebar different than a special session?
A sidebar.
It came up in one of your meetings. We're going to have a sidebar on that.
No, we don't talk about a sidebar. We have this closed session.
No, you used the
No.
word sidebar.
No, a sidebar would be a sidebar agreement with a contract. There was no sidebar.
You used the word, it's on
Mr.
the
Leader.
videotape.
No, Mr. Leader, sometimes you brought up some information. Mr. Leader, sometimes you made some statements here that are not totally accurate.
Right. And
There's no sidebar.
I stand here to be corrected. That's
Okay.
fine.
There's
We
no
can have
sidebar.
different opinions.
We have closed sessions that take place there. We have a resolution and we go there, we tell you the time period, and we tell you when you come back, the outcome, if there's an outcome to it. And addendum, resolution 2408-298.
Here we go.
It's on the bulletin board there. This is a resolution authorizing the execution of a sidebar agreement to the collective negotiations agreement between the Township of Gloucester and the Teamsters Union Local 500.
So how about that? The exact Orlando came out of Orlando's mouth, who literally just told David he gaslit him. Said, "I never said that ever. I'd never used that term in here." And whoops.
Yeah, and this is something you and I have gone through years ago. Learning the process, learning the terminology, learn everything that goes on. We did it over a long period of time. Mr. Leader has come in here and he goes up and he asks questions.
Yeah.
If he doesn't know the answer, he asks the questions. And normally, anybody on council, you would feel like they would be kind of passionate enough to give the information to a resident. Not our council. Our council just kind of ridicules you for asking some questions. But Mr. Leader's even up there saying, "Look, I stand here to be corrected."
Right.
So he's learned. He's trying to learn the system, but then also, he has some difference of opinion. So I guess they hold that difference of opinion against them to where they're not
Right. Retaliatory.
Yeah. So that's a shame. But I hopefully Mr. Leader learns a little bit from watching the podcast.
Yeah, he does. And I mean, I give him a ton of credit for going and asking his questions, and the responses that he get are very telling of what our representatives think of us. I mean, they hate you. So, Dave also asked another questions about some fees and what things have changed with them.
I was looking at Dave Leader, Glendor. I was looking at 024-21. Is this merely updated fees to an existing document?
That is correct, Mr. Leader.
When one looks at this document that was published, one does not know which ones were changed. It's been my experience in business that documents such as this go through a phase review where they're either colored or bolded or italicized, the changes, and only the changes, and the rest of the document is done in the text that's finalized. Is that a practice that seems common that could be absorbed here? Or is it already absorbed and this is an end state that I get to see?
This is not a normal practice to provide that. Can that be provided to you? Yes, we could probably provide that to you, sir.
Well, it's more important for you all because you're voting for it, not me. And you need to know exactly what's changed in order to say yay or nay. I mean, I'd like to look at it so I can double check, but it's for your benefit that those changes be noted.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
so I mean, imagine this: you get a paper and it says, "Here's our fees for the year," and you look at it and you go, "I have no idea." When we covered this before, where somebody says, somebody on
if
council
they say,
says,
these are the changes of our fees for the year, and you don't see anything before.
right. And then, but and nobody expects the people up there to understand what those are.
Or remember
Right?
what they are. You mean
Remember what they are. This in the same way that when we say, does it cost $100,000 for a roof? And then a council member says, I'm not a roofer. I don't know anything about roofs. Right? We don't expect you to know. But if you have a comparison that says these are last year's fees, these are this year's fees. Right. So if last year's fees was $10 and this year's fees are $1,000 for that one particular thing, you can say, hey, why did that happen?
Right. Why?
But,
what was the change?
If last year's fees were $200 and this year's fees were $250, okay, yeah, I kind of get that.
Right.
Right. So you don't have to question it. So I think what Mr. Leader is saying is that they're voting on information that it's just one of those things like.
Right. Well, it's if anybody deals with many lawyers and you get paperwork back on, say, a contract where you're negotiating and there's a red line, right? So you have the strike through text, so you can read what the word says. It just has a line through it, so like that's what we're removing. Yeah. And then in bold or something else, after it is this is the text that's going to be replacing the words that were there. It's not uncommon. It's not like it's something foreign from out of this world. It's a very common practice, and that's all he's asking is like, hey, do you know what they are, like what the changes were? They may have gotten them. They may have already made the changes from some other method that they use to arrive at that, but that's not the answer that he was given from council. It was just like, no, I'm not going to explain anything to you. It was just So. Yeah,
just kind of nice to have. And honestly, if anybody on council should probably appreciate that information, just having that to know what it was and what it is now.
But Yeah, so I think that was pretty much David Leader's time there. After that, Brian Burns had got back up, the gentleman with the preserving the ecological thing here. He's also done a lot of work over time, and if you guys have been following this podcast, you know he's been on here multiple times talking about the same topics. It's, the Murray and the Hayes properties. It was... a couple other, properties he had in the past.
Something Bridge.
Yeah, I forget the name of the one, but either way, the Murray and Hayes property. So he brings up, he says, it's been 3 years. Like, are we ever going to get this done kind of thing here?
And these are usually big plots of land that he's found
the owner and talked to them about preserving it. They're willing to take a kind of a lesser price for it to preserve it,
and it's kind of acted as like the middleman between the property owner and the township, who's going to bring down state money to take that land and preserve that land for open space.
Right.
And and he's been doing this for years now. And looking at this clip, I'm like, this is a 3-year-old clip. I can't believe that this has been going on this long.
Right. I can't believe I've been here from the start of this.
So I do acknowledge that the Green Acres process is a very long, tedious process. And I just gave you this letter. This is the original letter from Ms. Hayes to Ken Lecter when Ken was here as the planner. And if you look at the date, March 17, 2021, so it's now 3.5 years. So I'm happy that the property owners are being patient. It is an incredibly environmentally sensitive site. It's going to double the amount of open space that has been preserved in the last 25 years. Between the golf course, the HOA, the Little Mill, and these properties, we're talking about 600 acres of open space, which is very remarkable. For Camden County, it's remarkable.
Brian, I'm going to follow up Mr. Carlo Marin also with Mr. Zampino at Triad to get a timeline on this, because it's been some time. And
I agree.
We need to move forward with this and find out and put some actual milestones in place.
We gotta get some cameras out there.
What?
We gotta get some cameras out there.
Where? On the tracts of land?
Yeah, at least on this land, to let people know what this land is, and then how much, if they go through with this, how much they're going to preserve.
Well, he was saying it's going to be 600 acres or so between all of the projects that he has kind of brought before them that they've started. But the amount of time, in my opinion, shows that they do not care at all about this.
Nobody's going to make any money from this.
Right. This is not a money thing. If this was a money, how quickly did they get our sewer, our GTMUA dissolved, and then a bidder and on the ballot? It was like that. It was money involved. Got it done.
Yep.
So preserving open space, not approving land to be built on or for highway commercial or high density or whatever the case is. That's we're gonna put that on the back seat.
Pay to play money coming back from preserving anyway.
Right.
So
Triad might have to do that for free. I don't know what the deal is. Whatever it is, Triad's not pushing it because they don't make any money on it. The township is not doing anything because they don't push any. So it might sound nice to hear Orlando up there saying like, "I'm gonna push this. I'm gonna reach out to someone." You know how many times I've heard him say that through this process with Brian? Of thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing it. How many times can you say thank you and not have any action behind it and still be considered genuine? Like, no, it's completely disingenuous.
If Brian watches this podcast, he should reach out and say, "Hey, you guys should come in and do a tour."
Yeah,
and then
we could do a tour if we need to.
I want to know if Brian watches the podcast.
Oh, you're gonna? Okay, it's a test. It's a test, Brian.
It's a test, Brian. You want some help? Ask for it.
Yeah. All right, so we did get a new person out to this particular meeting here, asking about MUA. It's a topic all near and dear to a lot of our hearts here. So this person here, let's listen.
Iris Knight. My question is, and basically just trying to figure out that several of my neighbors, we've been, of course, getting the information about this sewer thing. We really, unfortunately, probably missed whatever meetings happened. How can we find out more information about it? What's really going on? We got some information from the people, I guess, who's buying it, or whatever they're doing, but we only got all the great, wonderful things, but we don't unfortunately know how this came about. So I'm just really looking for some information.
So you're going to receive information. There's people who support it and there's people who do not support this. On the township's website, there's a list of bullet points that talk about if the sale goes through, how it would benefit the residents of the township. The information that you receive from
She's
the water
asking how
company
it
that supports
impacts
it, they
it.
have a site that you can receive information. There's folks that do not support this, they have a site too that you can grab their information. But the information that's provided on the township's website talks about that you see the bid that was submitted by American Water and also Aqua. You see the ordinance that were passed. You see a sample bill, I believe that's listed on the website. And you also see bullet points of if this is successfully voted upon, a referendum that moves forward, what that money will be used for. In order to, if this is approved, that money has to be dedicated to paying off the township's debt.
The debt.
Yeah, so he didn't go into any detail, though, on...
No, he said there's a lot of benefits.
There are people out there.
How would we find that out? Because I'm pretty sure that that's the case.
So you thought that was said? Well, we have people that videotape and people that break down our.
Yeah, but I mean, when was that?
I'm responding to you. I'm sorry. Okay. What was?
Yeah. There are people that break down the council meetings and give you information in town.
That's us.
They're not elected officials.
Yeah.
But
and if you want to hear more of it, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Share it to your friends, because there are still people that go to the meetings that have no idea what's going on. And I would guarantee you that means there are thousands of people that have no idea what's going on.
Tens of thousands, yeah.
GTobserver.com. If you want to find out more about the sewer itself and what's going on, and the other side of the big sales pitch that's going on, I suggest you go to GTobserver.com/sewer. We start off here with our breakdown, our timeline breakdown. This goes all the way back to January 2023 when they decided they were going to dissolve our MUA, and the residents stood up and said, "Does this mean you're going to sell it?" And they said, "We're not going to sell it. We're just going to try to do this to save you some money." And it goes through the whole process down to when they decided they were going to try to sell it. And now where we are today, we did interviews with Dennis Palmer. Dennis Palmer is a MUA engineer from Landis. We summarized the special meeting on August 8th. Special meeting.
One, yeah, it was like a 3-hour-long meeting.
There's a whole recording here of the August 8th meeting. If you don't want to see the summary, there are some points here from Food and Water Watch. There's the engineer's report that says that our sewer system is in good condition. So if there's anybody that decides they want to come out and say, well, there's a lot of repairs that need to be done, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
That's bogus, because there's a new report out here that says from March 2023, it says that our sewer is in good condition.
And you paid for that report too. You've already paid for that report to be done.
And there are there's a lot of links here to more information. There are videos out here from different things that just popped up. But it's a good resource to check out if you want to know the other side of the sewer argument here.
Yeah.
And
so after this new woman that showed up to a meeting had those questions, a regular, Dena Hendry, went and followed up. It was kind of a lengthy thing, but there was a takeaway that you should all be aware of. This is what was said.
I'm sure.
Wrong.
If she wants to seek other information, if people want to seek other information, they can seek that information.
But you represent all the people.
Yes, I do represent, just not you. I represent everyone in the township.
He does not. He flat out told her he does not represent you because you disagree with him, I guess. I don't know.
I know he doesn't represent me either.
He doesn't represent me either, I guess.
Or I don't know. He represents somebody because somebody votes for him every time. But
he does.
It is. It's coming to an end for them.
Yeah. So that was. That was basically the whole gist of her thing. Was like, why do people need to go search this out? You can't say the name of where to go look, for the information. You should have everything out there. In his answer when she's asking, what are the negatives? Literally, she asked, like, what are some of the negatives around this? We see all the positives, and he's like, I got more positives for you. You got to go check out the township's website.
Yeah, and then if you want,
that's not what he asked. That's not what she asked.
If you want to know the other side of the argument, it's out there somewhere. I don't know. I don't know where it is. It's not. Didn't mention savegtmua.com or gtobserver.com.
Right.
Either one of those, just to let people know, because God forbid they go there, they're going to find out more truth than the rest of the stuff. They're going to realize there's a lot more going on in the sewer.
Yeah.
So.
So then we had another new woman jump up there, and she asked flat out, like, what? Here, let's listen to her.
I'm sure that we did our due diligence. I have confidence in council did their due diligence when it came to selling the sewer. Not everything can be a bed of roses. What did we find? There has to be one. What downside did we find when we all did our due diligence? There has to be something.
A downside?
There has to be, like when I go buy a car.
Question mark.
I might love the car, but there's one thing. The rear view mirror might be too small. Bought a Nissan. You know what I don't like? The passenger seat it's not electrical. I bought a Ford. Love the car. I don't have heated seats. So I'm sure doing our due diligence with possibly selling the sewer. What did we come up that was the downside? I see the fabulous, lovely things that are great for the township. I'm sure there's something that you guys did your due diligence and found a downside. We did do our due diligence.
Absolutely, Ms. Kelly.
And what do
Excuse
you
me,
have?
Mr. Leader, can you please not shout out?
Thank you.
This is her time. This is her time, Mr. Leader. Mr. Leader, it is her time. Please continue.
What do you have to show us the downside? What documentation do you have? What did you come up with? What was the research that you did on your own from other towns? What questions did you ask?
He spent more time, reprimanding David Leader than addressing any of her questions.
Yeah.
He was just leaving it as dead air so that she spoke to fill that awkward silence that she was getting from them asking a direct question of what were the negatives.
He should have just been honest and said,
I don't want to talk about that situation ever again with anybody. You understand me?
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't give her any downsides. Come on, man. You know there's downsides. You know there's downsides.
Practice? We talk
There's
about
a lot
practice?
You've been all over our website. You know there's downsides. You
Right.
watch the podcast. You look at the website. You know there's downsides. Let the lady know what the downsides are. Be honest. Be a representative.
I mean, you can't. This goes to, if you remember back to that August 8th meeting, there was a question asked by Jen O'Donnell, who went up there and asked, what are you going to change about your spending habits to help, not have a problem in this anymore, or any further problem? And they couldn't answer that question at all, because you know why? Admitting that they had to change something, it means that they're admitting that there was a problem. And if there's a problem, they can't admit it. There is no admitting it. Just like this particular question here, where she's asking, what were the downsides? And they cannot state that there are any downsides at all, because then that admits that there's something wrong with the sale. And it's so telling. I mean, from anybody looking at that besides them, like, what are we, stupid? I mean, seriously.
And you know what? They're all of them up there. They all know. They all know the positives and negatives. Not a single one would speak up and say, here's some of the stuff that I found. Some of them have spoken up and said, I endorse this.
Hold on.
Yeah.
We got some of that going.
That'll come up later.
Let's do Miss Winters.
There's no documentation to provide the public. There are members of this body that have taken it upon themselves to speak to other leaders in other towns where this has taken place.
And what were those questions and answers?
If that individual would like to speak on it.
Did anyone speak
Ms.
to other
Winters.
towns and questions?
And spoke with someone at Hatfield and reviewed with them, their thoughts through the process.
Was it a resident or someone?
No, I can't remember. I think she was a
I can't
council
remember.
member.
Former commissioner.
Former commissioner. And basically told me how their process went, different things that she had encountered.
Did we ask Haddonfield what surprises came up? What were the negative surprises came up? What were maybe, hey, let's reconsider
She
this.
actually told me it was a very positive experience for them, even from the residents in conversations afterwards.
The residents were happy for their increase.
They hadn't had an increase at that point.
Now they do.
How convenient.
That was the lamest answer of BS that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
One, she doesn't know who she talked to, and then he had to remind her. I was a former commissioner, which, look, Camden County Commissioners, that's a swamp all its own, right?
Oh yeah.
It's all one big ass committee, and it's a super swamp all of its own. So anytime you get any information from a commissioner, just know that's BS.
Well, the process show was very
but they
easy.
couldn't name.
It
They
was
couldn't
positive.
the positive. Yeah, I want the company that spent $1 million on advertising so far made the process easy. That's surprising.
Oh, wow.
Man, the representation. Come on.
Well,
Man.
do you want to talk about that here? So you said that was one of the worst BS answers. I got one atop you here. Hold on.
We have to do our due. I count on council to get me the pros and cons. What cons did we come up
I
with?
just want to mention that I just listened to the constituents. They came here, they argued certain things were going to happen, like employees were going to lose their jobs.
No.
That's not happening. Taxes were going to go up. That's not happening.
Nobody ever said
So
that.
everything that was argued here from some of the constituents in the community, it's not happening. So that's part of why I've endorsed it. I did do some of my homework as well, but.
And what
I
negatives
listened-
did
I
you find
listened to
doing
the-
your?
I listen to the public, I've gotten phone calls. I hear what's going on in Gloucester Township Talk from the community members. And I just support what I'm hearing of the benefits for the township.
All right, first of all, she says Gloucester Township Talk. There are several Gloucester Township Talk pages. They are 99%. Like, you find maybe one person randomly who says, I don't know, I think it's good if we give money to the sports teams. That's it. I've never seen her on Gloucester Township Talk. She has a Facebook page. I've never seen her on Gloucester Township Talk. And if you go on there, there is 100% no. You can find one person,
100%,
right?
yeah.
It's
Very
90.
close.
It's 99 point something, right? The people don't want it. So, and then she gets phone calls. What kind of BS is that? No, like her phone number is not public, right? Nobody's just publicly calling her and talking about it, saying, "This is a great idea. I think we should." This is probably 4 people that she knows.
Well, she says she
think that
listens
this is-
to the residents too, right?
She's not listening. Who's she listening to?
If she listened to the residents, she wouldn't have used the 2 examples. Like we weren't talking about
Right, she was-
raising taxes. The taxes
the
were going to go up.
illusion
No
that
one
she was
ever
like
said that.
This woman of the people in her neighborhood, and she left that neighborhood too, by the way. She didn't
She doesn't live there
doesn't live there
anymore
anymore
she
either.
claims, yeah.
So there is this BS that people call. I get phone calls from people. Like, look, the public isn't calling her, telling her this is a great idea. This is what you should do. Because you know what? If the public was that vocal about this is something that we should do, we would have heard from them.
Yeah.
We don't hear from them. We don't hear from anybody that says this is a good idea, other than people who have gotten something out of this from the township, or had some position, or them helped them politically.
yeah. Like some
Let's
people who
let's look
endorse
at
it?
some of the people. T-Ball
Mike
Mike here.
Mignon.
Mike Mignon, he
T-ball Mike, you said.
He knows it. Oh, Kevin Bucciaroni.
Oh,
He's a big fan of this. He's a big fan of anything that will keep him hired with the township.
Yep.
There's Carolyn Grace. She's got her whole thing. That's her YouTube video commercial.
Oh yeah.
Dan Hutchison, the guy who a year ago said, "We're not dissolving the MUA because we're going to sell it. This preserves it in our town.
Yeah.
This is not what we're going to do." Now this guy says, "This is a great idea. You got to trust him. The BPA is going to BPU is going to protect you from increases." Who's also on his Facebook page saying,
sending a letter to the BPU about
Atlantic City Electric raising rates. Right? It's Carolyn Grace. Here's him again.
Kevin again.
And then you got this Republican.
No one even knows
here.
who this is.
Nobody. One guy. Remember this guy?
Phone.
This guy, as when he was the Republican chairman, he stood behind Dan Hutchison and said Dan Hutchison was a great Republican. Who Dan Hutchison is now a Democrat. So Dan Hutchison sold out. That guy sold out. Orlando. He was one of the first guys to jump on there. He's basically sleeps under the mayor's bed. So he's got it all. So those are the people. And the rest of them that aren't on there, that didn't endorse it, they didn't speak up and say they didn't endorse it either.
Not speaking up is just as bad as endorsing it, in my opinion there. They should have said something. They were asked, the council was asked.
Making up fake conversations that you had with people that don't exist. Yeah. You're not getting out of it. You're not getting out of it. This is your fault.
But so that was pretty much the end of the meeting there. It wasn't extremely eventful, but this is a time where we all need to get out there and talk to our neighbors about voting, make sure we're spreading the word.
This response has been, like we grabbed dinner before we did the podcast here, and there was, I was getting comments on YouTube videos, and every time I see a comment on anything, if it's
brace for
I'm like, here it comes to hate. And there's no hate anymore. It's just people that are like, wow, I can't believe this. Thank you guys. And oh, great point. And I can't believe I saw a councilman. I can't believe they do that. People are waking up, right? And they're figuring it out. And it's really good. It's really good that people have starting to figure out stuff that we've been preaching now for years. But, before we were just kind of like, crazy guys that just didn't like the people up there. As Tom Cardis would say, and said in the Inquirer, that the only reason that we're against this is because we don't like the Democrat council that we have. So he made it a partisan.
Right. That's what they're trying to do with this
had to
whole
make
thing.
It a partisan thing. And then when so they tried to make it a partisan thing, and it's not
the case.
It's not what it is at all. I mean, when a lot of people that are behind this vote no movement, they're also Democrats.
Yeah.
But they're just Democrats that aren't represented by those Democrats. So
we have sat here on this podcast, Joe, and talked about this whole, in a local political climate here.
Yep.
Whatever, if there's a party that believes one thing and the other doesn't believe it, whatever the national politics stuff is, they don't even vote on it here. So it doesn't even matter what they are, Republican or Democrat. And we've talked about, machines and what that actually means, and how both of us would be, say we're in a red state where the red, political machine is there. I'd be a Democrat to fight against the, because we have a two-party system in our,
I get
country here.
I am such an advocate for good government that I can't really watch the news without getting angry at either side.
Right.
And look, I got banned for 12 hours or 12 or 24 hours on X because I said something about a Republican congressman who I despise. Just look, if whatever side you're on, if you're a scumbag, you're a scumbag, all right? And I'm not standing.
Both sides have a toilet. Is basically right now.
And somebody was asking the other day too. They took a picture of the sample ballot and they said, "Hey, does anybody know anything about these candidates here?" and I knew some of the Republican ones because from running I got involved in the committee, and I actually wasn't a Republican until I decided to run. I was pretty much I was a libertarian, so I was kind of independent basically. But I met some of those people, and I gave some comments on those people, and they said, "Well, are you just saying that because of the party that they're because they're Republican?" And the answer is no. And the answer is I've voted. I rarely ever vote straight down any column, unless there's just really good candidates in there, and that's really rare. But if there's a third column too, I 100% look into those people, because sometimes the two columns are just what they call the uniparty, right?
Yeah,
so
uniparty. Yep.
So it's always look into every single name on there and figure out what they're all about and vote for that. And if we all did that, man, we'd be in such a better place.
Yeah.
This state would be completely better, but we don't. We don't do that at all.
But I think that is becoming a realization for people on both sides of the aisle with this particular topic of the sewer. I've seen it stated multiple times, and I know that there's people that have, I've spoken to about it too, and it's almost like they said, if we spend this much effort of trying to work together to get rid of the mayor, we would be in a much better position. And you're like, 100%. We've been saying this for how long? But and I don't want to say you people, but there are those people that will just vote for the mayor because their job is secure, or this is that. It's going to hurt their pocket financially. And there are a lot of those people that work for the town, the county, the this, the that runs extremely deep in Gloucester Township. So I understand they got this many votes in the bag.
I think
they've got all the upper hands and everything.
People are afraid too. Like people are afraid to express what they want. Some people are even afraid to if they vote for the wrong person, somebody's gonna find out. That's legitimately something
that's
that
a
people
legitimate
have said
fear,
before.
Yeah.
Like I went as far as I put signs on my front yard, and then went out and bought lights to light them all up because when I put signs in the front yard, my wife's like, "Oh God!" And I was like, "Look, I want to express. I want to express that the people that are putting out on my front yard, or if there's no sewer sign, everything that's on my front yard is something that I believe in, and I'm going to light it up in lights, and that's what I've done. That's what I've done. But one of the cool things too that you just reminded me of too is this election with the sewer thing that's made a lot of people kind of start thinking about things. Mm-hmm. People have come out that I remember from when last year I ran. Tim Pfeffer was on my team last year, and there are people that they just didn't like. Anytime we posted anything, they had something negative to say about it. Right. And they have reached out and said, I voted for Tim this year. And that means so much. Because it's because I know what's behind Tim. And it's it's Tim, right? It's Tim and his wife is helping him. That's basically their campaign. And a couple of other Republicans, Ray Henry, and he's been helping him out and stuff like that. That's it. There's no machine. It's like Tim and his
Bach's
wife.
not giving him $3,000, or Archer Renner giving him $4,500, or the former
we did a couple of fundraisers to try to help him to get some money together. But it means so much that we've changed the minds of some people because it took this really big conflict of interest, kind of dishonesty, to really shine a light on it, and people said, I voted for Tim, and I was like, wow. That's some of these people absolutely just hated us for no reason at all. They didn't know us before, but they just didn't like us, and they changed their mind on it. And man, I hope.
On that note, I really hope that they understand the decision that they made when they wanted to sell the sewer.
Yeah, and
I hope it works out for them.
I also hope that our voting numbers are just. I hope we blow our voting numbers up.
Yeah.
We said before. 29%. GT was 29%. GT was either 29% or 31%.
Right, somewhere around 30%.
I know the county was 29%. Voter turnout. I hope this election we just blow it up. I mean, there's a big election too. It's a big election. We got a president. Big election. Yeah. Blow it up. Vote.
All right, folks. We have the beer truck and food festival.
Wait, you know what?
What?
We did the pumpkin festival.
Yeah.
We did the pumpkin festival. You just posted a video. I didn't even know about it.
Oh, okay.
It was funny because I went to the pumpkin festival and I was walking around. I caught up with you guys, and then I was walking around. My wife and I were just walking around, and I come around the corner and I had to go search the American Water tent, right? Because I wanted to go over and talk to them. And
did you talk to them?
Because I figured they don't know me, right? I'm just gonna ask them questions. And I walk around to talk to them, and who's standing in front of them but Sam Sweet?
Oh, really?
He's over there and he's asking them questions, and I just walk over and he goes, "Oh yeah, what's that thing? What's that thing where they can raise money, where they can raise the rates beyond for other reasons?" And I was like, "Oh, you mean like RACIC?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's it." He goes, "Yeah, RACIC's not going to stop you from and she goes, "Oh, yeah, RACIC, that's another thing altogether." And I said, "Well, explain." And she's like, "Well, look, the BPU is going to protect you." And I said, like electric? And she says, "Look, I'm not going to convince you guys. Look, you guys have your minds made up." And I was like, "That's it? That's all you got? Like that's it? You have nothing else? Like if you're passionate." If you're passionate about it, you're going to convince me, or you're going to make me feel like I lost. But she's just like, "You win," right? And then it was funny because I just saw your video, and I didn't even know that you were there talking to them. I saw your video where you go up, and they're like, "That's that guy.
That's that
right?
guy."
Yeah. And then she says, "Look, I'm not going to convince you guys."
Yeah, I couldn't even get a question before she's like, I'm not even going to waste my time. I'm like, "No, try, please."
And I was, oh, okay. They have, yeah. That's the spot that they're in right now.
Well, Joe, from the very first time that we had the town hall meeting, like where we invited people out to have the guest speakers and whatnot, and then there was people in the parking lot papering the cars saying, "There's misinformation." And I said, "What? What is the misinformation?" I've been asking forever.
Yeah.
So, this is what now, almost a half a year or so of being told that we're spreading misinformation, not knowing what the heck, what are you talking about misinformation? You can't just throw that word out and it just automatically means we're bad people or something like that. But now I'm standing in front of you. What's misinformation? Let's go through the list here. Like, okay. She's like, "Well, our stuff this is the truth." I'm like, okay. When you guys want to talk about truths, you talk about half-truths. You provide certain pieces of information. When you say property tax freeze, like, let's go over that. The part of your property tax that the council controls is 32% of the overall bill. You have schools in there, county in there, fire in there. Yep. Oh, so it's just this little portion here is what 32%. And she's like, "The council's saying that they're going to freeze property taxes." You're right. You're not lying when they say that they're going to do that. But it's disingenuous the way that you're portraying it. When you're not telling the entire picture that council is not freezing all of your taxes.
Right.
But that's what you're saying is you're gonna have a freeze. Oh, and then we get the mailer today. It was $500, over the next 5 years. Oh, really? $100? You're gonna give me $100 every year, and I'm happy about this?
Yeah, that
oh
was...
my God. They really think that people are dumb. They really do. I don't know.
So yeah, that came out pretty much today, I think. Today or yesterday. That big flyer, somebody posted on Facebook. It's like a big flyer. It's like,
it's 15 by 12.
It's like enormous. But that was they kept floating around. We're going to do a tax decrease, and what it was we're gonna decrease your taxes by $500 over 5 years.
Right, over 5
So
years.
every year you'll save $100.
Well, the part that I didn't look yet on the the flyer where they're quoting that information, because they did in the past on their other flyers quote like, as stated on the September 8th council meeting or whatever the date was that they're getting the information from. I didn't see where they said that this was from. However, it's funny that came out on a Friday, but on a Wednesday was our council meeting, which it was stated during the council meeting that was going to be 5 cents is what the savings is going to be. And I didn't do the math to know if the 5 cents equates to $500 or something like that, but it was just funny. It's like, wait a minute. So was it because I don't think anything was stated at all prior to that, where they were able to come up with the magic number of $500 over the course of 5 years. So they had to get that from somewhere, right? And you're going to say to yourself, all right, did they get that from? Are they quoting the council meeting that was on Wednesday? So you mean to tell me that from Wednesday night when they said that, even if you were watching live at 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night, they had time to print, however many 10,000 of these things to go to mail out and have in the post office.
This is all done behind the scenes
on Friday. Like they're mailed out Friday morning, like in the mail. So they were printed, postage and all that stuff, and everything's done, ready to go in the post office. What? Is that possible?
Right.
And the mayor's not involved, and council's not working with them, and they're letting the people decide.
It's
such. Oh my God, we're not stupid.
So $500 over 5 years.
Yeah.
We talked about the bill, which is currently about $15, $16 a month right now.
Yep.
That could go to $60 possibly a month. The reduction that you will get from them is $8.33 a month.
Yeah.
So when your sewer goes from $15 to either $40 or $60 a month, your savings will be $8.33 a month. So
hope it works out for you if you vote yes.
I was trying to think what you could buy for $8.33. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't smoke, but somebody told me the other day cigarettes are like over $10.
Oh yeah, that was
insane.
crazy a long time ago. You might be able to buy like a Big Mac.
You get a Starbucks maybe,
but with no fries, right?
Oh, like just the sandwich or something?
just the sandwich probably.
Maybe. I don't know how much it is. Probably about that, right?
Yeah, like a Big Mac a month. Probably.
Yeah. Actually, somebody did say that online. They're like, yeah, I can get a fast food meal once a month.
Every 2 months.
Yeah.
Every 2 months, yeah. So,
all right, folks.
That's the big savings. And yeah, when the people at the tent that are paid to be there to convince you, when they can't convince you with just some simple questions, folks, they're paid to do it. Keith and I are just sitting here talking till we're blue in the face, trying to tell you that it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because we honestly care about this town, and we've got to pay these bills too. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, folks. Really appreciate that you guys have subscribed and watch our podcast and all the work that everybody does.
Yep.
To spread the word. So.
All right,
folks.
folks.
All of our information. Share us out with everyone that you can. And
we'll see you next time.
See you, folks.
All right, guys. Take care.